Hello and welcome back to the podcast that hits harder than day drinking in Australia. Welcome back to the podcast that will join you on the next punt. Welcome back to the podcast that is directing the next Blade movie. Welcome back to the podcast that your grandma was talking to you about. Welcome back to the podcast that will help you move into your next house. Welcome back to the podcast that smells like a mixture of oak and sage. Welcome back to the podcast that always knew Billy Loomis did it. Welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to another episode of the Love, Death and Movies podcast, internet's #1 film breakdown and review show. The show that crushes watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre. Every week is a different film in that genre. So follow us on everything. Join us on the ride. And let's watch some movies. That is the first time I didn't fuck up that intro. I went into the second part of it. I was like, here we go. Here's the stumble. It's coming off. It's coming soon. Like, we always record this like a couple of minutes after I wake up. So very much, I'm always in the green. But I'm one of your hosts, as always, Harry. With me, of course, is the pride of the West Coast, Ash First Movies, Ash. And, of course, the notorious Byron. Guys, it's good to see you. How are you?
Yeah,
How are you?
good to see you too, Harry. I'm good. Can't complain.
Nice. Byron?
I'm doing pretty good. It's fight week again.
It's fight week every week for you.
Not.
And
Yeah.
I'm at what do you want better? It's a Rob Whittaker fight week.
It's a fight week for me. Like I'm a very casual UFC fan, so I only watch when there's like big fights on, and this is a good fight. I will be waking up for us.
Let's go Robert Whittaker. It is in Saudi Arabia, so I'm not too thrilled about the start time.
Yeah, the time zone is crazy.
It'll be 4 a.m. for me for the very first fight.
And if I was watching the first fight, it'd be 2 a.m. Byron messaged me. He's like, "Dude, you got to get up for it." 2 a.m.
You're just going to sleep.
I was like, "There's no shot I'm waking up for that. I'll wake up for the last 2 fights." That's kind of it.
I'm proud of anyone that watches all the prelims.
Oh, I would. I normally do watch all of the actual prelims, but it's just 2 a.m. is too much.
I believe you, man. There's a whitetail on my wall.
Question, Ash. Yes.
I used to watch UFC every now and again. My brother was really into it, and we would go to his house on like Saturday night for me. So you guys are watching like the same fights that are happening here, but it's your Sunday. So that's why it's so early, right?
Yes, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So in like Vegas, it would start at like 8 p.m. I'm guessing, and in
Right.
Australia, it'd start at like 11 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
mine can start anywhere between 8 in the morning to about 2.
Yeah.
Depending on where in the world it is. But yeah, it's always daytime unless it's in like fucking Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia or those kinds of countries. That's the only time it's in the morning.
But we're in the future, so we're a day ahead, so we already know who won.
I'm in the very, very future.
Yeah, as soon as the fight starts to happen, we already know. We already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
my bookie at Notorious.
we've read the script, and it's going well tomorrow.
I do have the script. My predictions are locked and loaded.
Yeah, man. So you one more UFC point, Ash, and then we'll move on to the actual movie. Are you predicting Whittaker?
I am.
Good.
I have Whittaker by decision.
I got
Ikram
Whittaker.
Al-Askari is one scary fucking Russian.
He is, but Whittaker is also a horrifying person. I've got Whittaker by decapitation. So there's that. So go Bobby Knuckles. But that's for another show. Today we are curving off. I keep saying this phrase. Am I using it right? Curving off? Curving off the... It works. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're finishing off the month of Sweat with one of the best... I reckon it's one of the most like unique and culturally epic and monument films for Australian culture, which is Wake In Fright from 1971. This is directed by Ted Kotcheff. Budget. Do you want to guess the budget? Looking at this, knowing that it's made in the 70s.
Go on, Ash. Go on, prove my point.
Am I guessing like in US dollars? I don't know any kind of.
Let's say
I'm just gonna throw $100,000.
How much you say?
100,000.
Close, 800, but it's still less than $1 million. Like it's less than $1 million, and its box office return was $167,000. But this is definitely a film that like picked up momentum years after it came out. If it was re-released and stuff like that, this is just only off the Australian initial release because I don't think it was even released in cinemas worldwide when it came out. But until we get to the actual film, guys, how was your week? Byron, how's your week?
Yeah, it's been solid. If you keep seeing me looking up, it's because there's a whitetail like slowly crawling down my wall. So I will end up jumping at it some point. I'm sure because I hate the little bastards. Um, it was a good week. It was a good work week. I got a couple actually. I actually watched some movies this week, guys, outside of podcast topics.
Wow.
I just want to shout this one out because I think it's fucking amazing. It's called The Wailing.
Nice.
It's a South Korean zombie movie. I'm very iffy on claiming movies as zombie movies because sometimes they are, but they're not. But I would say this is I would say it's a zombie movie, but it's fucking amazing. I fucking loved it. It's probably my favorite watch of the month, um, so far. So it was yeah. I was happy to get it's in my top 20 by the way, the horror movies ever. It'll probably drop,
It's
but
definitely on my watch
as
list
of
now.
as of right now, it's there. It is over 2.5 hours, so just keep that in mind. I did not know that it was that long. Uh, if I did, I probably would have watched it earlier in the day. But yeah, it's a good week. I watched some good stuff. Let's go, Bobby Knuckles.
Let's go, Bobby Knuckles. Ash.
Let's go.
Yeah. My week was good. I was in San Diego visiting my brother and my sister-in-law and my two nephews until Tuesday. And then I had Wednesday off. So I really only worked 2 days this week, so I can't complain.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was very hot. I was actually in like more east inland from San Diego, so it's not quite as nice and breezy and ocean like there, which is a bummer. But that's where they live, so no biggie. But yeah, it was great seeing my brother and my nephews. And then today I test drove a car, and I will continue to do that
What
throughout the
car?
next week or two. Today I drove a Toyota RAV4.
Oh, I
Liked
like a
it,
Rav.
didn't love it. I'm not used to driving high up. I've been driving a sedan for the last 14 years, so I'm just not used to that being a bit more off the ground feeling.
Yeah.
We'll see, but gonna test drive probably like 3 or 4 more. But yeah, my car died a few weeks ago, so
Yeah, you need a car.
yeah, need a car.
You need a car.
But I'm
Especially.
borrowing my mom's Lexus right now, so I'm not mad
Oh,
about that.
okay. Well, you're all right, right, for right now at least. You're not stranded. Yeah, okay.
No, I'm not stranded. I am plenty fine. But yeah. How about
That's
you, Harry?
yeah, my week was good. Excuse me. I finished off the Sydney Film Festival. All done and dusted now. Watched 22 movies in total. Fucking, I've got severe movie fatigue, like severe movie fatigue. I can tell you about a couple of the great ones that I saw. Like super quickly. Well, last night I got to see Terminator 2 in cinemas. And was a Q&A with Robert Patrick. Guy's awesome. Guy's
Fuck yeah.
hilarious. Like and he's just like, I don't really act that much anymore. I just I run a Harley Davidson dealership in LA. So I sell choppers. That's kind of where I get my money. Like
Wow.
he's a fucking menace. But some movies to look out for. The Girl with the Needle. Super dark and confronting post-war film from Poland. Brilliant though. It's fucking sick. Cottontail's a great uplifting story about grief and acceptance. Unreal. Go watch that. It's Japanese, I believe. Yeah. But there's these two movies I saw on the last day of the gala. Um, First one I saw was The Seed of the Sacred Fig, which is an Iranian film about the Iranian regime. And it was made by the director in secret from the Iranian government. And he snuck out of Iran to hand deliver it to the Cannes Film Festival. And when the Iranian government found out about that, they've sentenced him to 8 years in prison. So this film is fucking like important. It's really great as well. It's really, really damn good. Throughout the film, sorry, one second, I got to sneeze.
We're gonna go ahead and say bless you to Harry.
Thank you. Sorry, allergy season. Throughout part through a section of the film's very intense, especially if you're from that culture. It's incredibly confronting. Person in my row got up and got to the side and was just like standing against the wall, and I thought that was weird. She just straight up fainted, like went onto a bin. I was watching the film and all I heard was a boom, and I look over and she's like on the ground. So I get up and I like put her feet up on the bin, and I'm like other people come up and I was like, go get an attendant, and I was like just trying to like put her into my mom was a nurse. I know how to like the first rule. I don't know how to do anything past that. But then this random bloke comes up and he's like, get out of the way, get out of the way. I'm like, well, are you a doctor? He goes, no. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, word for word, he goes, I'm just seeing what happened. And I'm like, and I out loud, pretty loudly go, what the fuck are you doing? Go back to your fucking seat. But then the attendant came and got a doctor and it was fine. Like, she just fainted. It was like a packed crowd, probably a bit too confronting of what she was watching. Movie's great, go see it. See The Sacred Fig. She was fine after a couple of minutes. She left. She was totally fine. I went and saw The Substance, which is a body horror film, which is my film with the fest. Best of the fest is what I call it. Fucking immaculate. It's such a vibe. It's exactly what Barbarian is kind of like. That kind of like sick, cool vibe. I was sitting in we had one of the last tickets given to us, and so we were kind of in the rafters of the big theater. And this throughout the film, during a really fucked up scene, one of the guys behind me, or like 2 rows back, was like got up and was starting to walk down the stairs, and I was on the aisle. So he started to walk down the stairs, and he like sat on the stairs right next to me, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And he started to sway, and I was just like, mate, are you okay? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, all right. And he started to sway again. Blackout went into me. 2 sessions back to back, 2 people fainted right next to me. So I have that kind of impression. So I grabbed the guy and I'm like, mate, you're all right. Don't worry about it. You're good. Put him like level him on the stairs and put his feet up onto like a seat rest. His girlfriend's there and just holds him. I immediately just go to and get an attendant and a doctor, because in venues they will always have a doctor on hand. It's just something everyone should know. And they come back. It's fine. Like, he's already up and he was awake and he was just like sitting there, and they just sat with him for a couple minutes and he left. I sat back down. My mate that I went with, he's like, good work, man. Good quick work. The woman behind us, instead of helping, just started filming. Like, the world we live in, instead of helping the bloke that's unconscious on me, she just pulled out her phone and was just like filming. And I was like, whoa, was she just getting the light or something? Maybe she was just shining a light. He's like, no. Her husband's like, stop filming him. Like, the fucking
It's 10 times worse in America, I promise you.
Oh, that's fucking crazy. Yeah. So, but The Substance, if you're into horror, specifically body horror, I'm not really into body horror at all, but this movie like blew me away. This is like,
is it Demi Moore?
Yes, it's Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley.
Okay.
And who I think is one of the best castings this year, Dennis Quaid. He's spectacular in this film. He's, every time you see him, you're grossed out. Like, I don't want to say anything about his role, but he's fucking great in this fucking movie.
He's not related to Jack Quaid, is he?
Yes, his dad.
It's his dad.
Oh.
So Jack Quaid.
Oh, go ahead, Harry. You probably already know.
Jack Quaid is the spawn of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
And he looks exactly like Meg Ryan.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but talk about a fucking talent prodigy. Holy smokes. Imagine if your dad was Dennis Quaid and your mum was Meg Ryan. Like,
imagine if your dad was Ethan Hawke and your mom was Uma Thurman.
Oh, man, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Imagine if your mum and dad were Ash's mum and dad. Crazy. Crazy, man. Oh, man. Same level, you know? Same level. But guys, we're talking about Wake In Fright. Quick synopsis. Have a drink, mate. Have a fight, mate. Have some dust and sweat, mate. There's nothing else left out here. Wake In Fright is the story of John Grant, a bonded teacher who arrives in the rough outback mining town of the Yabba, planning to stay overnight before catching the plane back to Sydney. But as one night stretches into several, he plunges headlong into his own destruction. So I've seen Wake In Fright a bunch of times. We watched it the first time during high school. As you can kind of tell, this whole segmented memory sort of topic was big in later high school, and this was kind of one of the subjects that we kind of dissected. So I love this film. I think this movie's great. I think this movie's completely different to what you originally think it's going to be about. But it's just like I think I described it best to you last night, Ash, that it's kind of like Australia's Lost Highway, where it's very much like it's more of a psychedelic spiritual journey rather than anything. And that's where I think it completely excels in. I think it uses the Australian landscape as a character, and I don't want to be biased, but that's one of the best landscapes of films in general, to be honest. I truly believe. Like, I was even watching a couple of films from the Sydney Film Festival that were like low budget Australian films, and it's like there's like sci-fi movies that like set in like isolated rural Australia, and the rural Australia's isolation is like horrifying, because like maybe it's just because I know it, and like I've been to towns like that, and I'm like anywhere in any direction, you're 2 hours from civilization. So I love this film. Ash, what did you think of Wake and Fright?
Yeah. Yeah, I like this movie. I think it is one of those ones where you don't really know what's going to happen next, so it really keeps you on your toes. See, I really love Lost Highway, and I think knowing that helped me with this movie. I think knowing that it was like more of that psychological, but I think I was taking it a little too like literally, and I kept kind of thinking that something we can get more into it, but I kept thinking that something really bad, like they were going to do something really bad or creepy to John,
You
but it
think it
was
was like setting up for a horror film?
yeah, but
Yeah.
then it does give that vibe, and it
Yeah.
kinda takes a while to get going, obviously, like, it's very a slow pace in the first 30 minutes, and then it starts to really pick up. Some of the dialogue is strange, but I'm also obviously American, like, I kinda just tried to, like, immerse myself into it. I don't know much about Australia outside of knowing you, Harry, and, what you've told me, so this was definitely not anything I was familiar with as far as what rural Australia is like. But
This is very real, like rural
yeah,
Australia.
I believe you,
Yeah.
and I'm concerned, but yeah, I know it was a lot of fun. It was one of those like wild ride movies where you just almost like Wild at Heart too, like another
Yeah.
Lynch movie where you just don't really know what's going to happen next. Like as soon as you think you know, it's totally different. And I appreciate movies like that because it kind of just you can just have fun with it. You're not trying to necessarily analyze it. And when you stop trying to like analyze it or figure out what it all means or what's happening, you can just really have fun with it. So I think after like the first 30 minutes, I started to really just sort of like take it all in and just kind of be along for the ride. But outside of that, I the score will be in my brain for so long. I
Yeah.
thought the music was so killer. I said it like 4 times out loud while I was watching it. None of the acting
Cool.
performances, to be honest, really stand out to me personally. None of them really stick with me, but I didn't think that anyone was like bad necessarily. I just they weren't really wowing me. But I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great setting. It was very sweaty and very gross. And holy shit, people there like to gamble and drink.
Oh yeah, we
I
do.
had no idea.
Yeah, we do. We're a
Yeah,
huge
exactly.
gambling culture, and we're a huge drinking culture.
You've said that before, but I've never seen it visualized like that in
Yeah.
front of me. It was very jarring.
Come visit Australia. We'll get blackout
I
together.
could
It'd be
handle
great.
it. I
I'm
don't
I'm
think
pretty sure Australia
oh,
went through a drinking change. Harry, didn't like certain parts of Australia get like the time that you're not allowed to like have a drink?
No, no.
It was like, there was something on the news about it, and they dropped the time because they were like testing like random people in the middle of the day,
I think it
and
was.
like 2 out of 3 were pissed.
I think it was that like venues had to acquire a license for a 24-hour pub. So I could literally go up to the pub on my road at like 6 a.m. and get a beer easily. And put a punt on some ponies, you know what I mean? Like absolutely, and I would love it. Speaking of Australian actors, Ash, did you like how Donald Pleasance, aka Dr. Loomis from Halloween, played the Doc?
is
The
that who that is?
Yeah, that's Loomis from Halloween.
I didn't look up any of the actors, but I was like, why does this guy look familiar? I could not figure it out.
But
Okay.
they got this really English guy to play the
Yeah.
most Australian dude ever.
That is
He
the
looks
That's
so
the biggest
Australian.
bogan of the movie.
Yeah, big time. Him and the dude that was like on top of the car screaming it during the
Oh
kangaroo
yeah.
hunt. He was
That guy's like a Crocodile Dundee type, like for
amen.
sure.
How good's Crocodile Dundee? Oh, we'll get that. That's another.
Anyway,
That's another
that's my thoughts initially.
nice one. Byron.
Look, I like the movie first and foremost.
If you don't like it, just let you know. If you don't like it, racist. Like
I don't fuck off. I mean, if I don't like it, I'm from New Zealand. You know, fuck Australia. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, we got everything good over here.
No. No, I like the movie. I don't know if I didn't have any expectations going in, but for some reason it just didn't click. I don't know. I don't know. There's like a lot of you compare it to Lost Highway, and I fucking love that comparison because it is similar to Lost Highway. I love Lost Highway. I didn't like get anything that like big and important out of it, which is although disappointing, it's all right because again, it's a good movie. I think
You just hate Australians.
get yeah.
I get it. I get it, man. I get it.
No, I think Gary Bond. Although I don't think it's a next level performance. I think it's absolutely great.
Yeah,
I do believe I don't think he had too many roles.
I'm looking up now.
I think he's only been a part of a handful of movies. Like my brain says like 5 or 6.
Yeah, he's a lot of TV. He's a big TV
Uh,
actor, but
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
you're correct. He has done very
Yeah.
little movies. It's a
Um,
lot of TV.
so yeah, he was terrific. I think the cinematography and direction from Teddy was good.
I like Teddy.
Um, I say that because of fucking league player Ted Tedesco.
I know
It's
Teddy. Teddy Ted.
I hate saying Ted and then go to say Teddy again. So it's like fucking. But yeah, I think it looks good. I think it's shot well. The score and sound design are both great. It's just unfortunately something in here didn't click with me, and I don't know. Maybe I was too tired. I don't know, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, fair enough. It might at the end of this, you might raise your score. Who knows? Who knows? But let's get into it, guys. The film opens with a long sweeping shot of the Australian outback. Gosh damn, it's good to be home, if you ask me. Capturing the stark arid landscape. There you go. I thought that said ant. Don't matter. The stark arid landscape. It took me one line to fuck up. Just letting you know there. Like if this whole all my notes, one line. I'm already off the wagon. It's already gone.
I've had too many beers.
Yeah, exactly. Capturing the stark arid landscape that surrounds the tiny town of Tibunda. How good's Tibunda? Would you guys ever go?
It just made me think of Shibuya. Roll call. Oh, I thought when I read it. Not even the same word, but that's the vibe that I get when I read Tapunda.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. But, Byron, have you ever watched The Castle?
And no, I don't think so.
Okay, so anyone that's listening that's Australian, immediately when I see this Tabunda, I always think of Bonnie Doon. Anyone that watches The Castle, it's like in the middle of you'll watch it, you'll understand. The camera pans to the town itself, a bleak collection of buildings in the middle of nowhere, emphasizing its isolation. The heat is palpable, with shimmering airwaves rising from the ground. I love those shots where you can see the heat. I think that's really, really cool. John Grant, the protagonist, is introduced as the town's school teacher. Only one school teacher. If he's shit, bad luck. He's teaching a lesson to a handful of disinterested students to a dilapidated classroom. I also love how the students are completely different ages. Like,
Oh yeah, it's like all ages in one classroom.
it's like, what are you teaching? like, what are you-
Teaching everything.
Good point.
He's teaching how to drink. The school's rundown condition mirrors John's own sense of entrapment. The scene establishes John's deep sense of dissatisfaction and his yearning to escape the monotony and isolation of Tibunda. As the school day ends, John locks up and heads to the local pub. I love this. We call it a local pub, but it's literally just a convenience store that sells beer, like kind of, but it's like also like a hotel at the same time.
Like a hotel.
Yeah, a lot of Australian pubs are hotels as well. Like you can go to any pub and go stay a night above it.
That's so interesting because I mean maybe
Yeah.
back in 71 it wasn't that hard, but like in America, you have to have a full liquor license or a beer. There's a separate beer license, but it's like a hard thing to get. So you
Yeah,
can't
no.
just like sell it
Yeah.
anywhere. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy.
those bars that are also hotels that they're everywhere here too.
Yeah.
It's just you won't find them in like small towns. It'll only be in like the bigger cities, or at least the ones I went to. Like one of my favorite bar in Wellington, which is New Zealand's capital, is where I also stay.
Okay, well I need
Okay.
to experience this bar and hotel in one place.
It's pretty good. It's like, and you guys call yourselves the land of the free.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting an Uber or a taxi. You just
Yeah,
America's the land of capitalism, Harry. That's all it
true.
is.
That's true. Is it? How's your healthcare? Anyway, John locks up and heads to the local pub, a modest establishment that serves his serves as his town's social hub. Inside, the atmosphere is stifling with only a few patrons present. Classic. The publican, a dour man serves John a beer. I love this, where he's just like, "You gonna serve yourself one?" He's like, "Sure." He has one himself. It's like one for you, one for me. The interaction is minimal, underscoring the loneliness and lack of connection that John feels. The camera lingers on John's face, capturing the longing and desperation as he drinks in silence. So we get to the train to the Bunda Yaba. Let's just call it the Yaba. John boards the dusty train that takes him to the Bunda Yaba, commonly referred to as the Yaba. The train ride through the desolate landscape emphasizes again the isolation. I'm going to be continually to say how much this film emphasizes isolation because you really use the landscape as a whole for that character point of isolation. The vast emptiness expanse outside the train windows feels like some sort of metaphor of John's internal emptiness. So upon arrival in the Yabba, John is immediately struck by the intense heat and frenetic energy of the town. The Yabba, sorry, I'm just going to keep saying it like that because that's exactly how they say it throughout the whole film. The Yabba is a stark contrast to the Timbunda. It's busted because it just has a lot more activity automatically. However, the townspeople's friendliness has an undercurrent intensity about it. They're both welcoming and overwhelming at the same time. So John checks into a really cheap hotel, $4 a night. Are you kidding me? Planning to stay one night before catching his flight back to Sydney. The hotel's shabby room and its oppressive heat makes it clear that the Yabba, through living here, I don't know what that is. It's just not a haven. You can tell, like, it's actually kind of like a prison. The way that this whole hotel is kind of shot, it literally looks like a prison. So, what do you guys think about this opening? Like, what do you think about the it's kind of the opening is just all the setting, right? And would you travel to the Yabba?
Fuck no.
I think I would actually die if I had that many beers. So no. And I'm a people pleaser, so I would not be able to say no to the over hospitality.
So I'll see you at the Yabba then. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, that's my death wish. I'm gone.
Nice. So, what do you think about the opening?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add here. You said a lot of great things. I agree with everything you said. I didn't think that deeply about the isolation, but now that you're saying it, I definitely felt it. I just don't think I knew how to like verbalize that in that way. But yeah, I think the shots definitely, you feel that. I think the way he has his room set up, even when he leaves to Bunda, you can just feel how lonely of a life he lives. You can already know he's got an alcohol problem, you know, just from the kind of overall demeanor he has when he leaves there and gets to the Yabba.
Yabba.
Yeah, the colors are just like so orange, so vibrant. I feel like I've never seen any place that looks like that, at least not here where I live, in this dry ass place. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely a perfect sweaty movie. So great choice, Harry. Might be the sweatiest one we've watched all month.
Yeah.
A little too sweaty, a little too gross in some scenes, but
stinky.
Yeah, definitely perfect.
Very
yeah, the score is amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Byron, anything to add?
Yeah, you mentioned the isolation. That was what I got that out of. That's why I praise Teddy's direction really well because he gave it. It's all open. It's like an open area, but it also the whole movie has this tone of claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Around the entire thing, it's like a bubble that you can't get out of.
Ooh, I like that.
Write that one down. That's good.
Yeah, I didn't even write that in my review. So I think that's a big part of the reason. If I were to be there, hell yeah, I'd accept everything coming my way. Fuck yeah. I mean, it's just a normal Saturday.
It is. That's what I'm doing after this.
Crazy.
But yeah, it's a good opening. I do think the pacing. This is why I say it might have been because I was tired because this felt long. It felt really long. Not to say I wouldn't go as far as saying it dragged, but it was just maybe a little too slow for my brain to keep up.
No, I get it.
It's still good fun though.
I feel like the isolation is really pointed.
Yeah.
Is that a word? You know what I mean? Because throughout this whole film, like everything's happening. And you very much feel like there's no one else in the world but this town. Like everything that's happening, there's like no help to come at all. He's like, it's still like he's a couple of dollars away from Sydney, but he'll just never get there. Like even there's a point in the film where a guy's just like, I'll take you to sea. And he's like, sweet. And he gets into the truck and just takes him right back to this town center. So it's like,
he didn't get robbed, but.
Well, yeah, the guy gave the gun back.
Fucking bamboozled.
Yeah.
I did feel similarly, Byron. I think it might be also because there's a little bit like lack of dialogue in the first chunk of the movie until he really gets going into conversation with the sheriff. So I think they use those like long shots and the music without any real dialogue to really set that tone. But it does feel not like a drag, but it just feels a little bit slow paced
Extended, like
into the
Exactly.
other part of the movie.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we'll continue. That evening, John heads to the local pub. Now, this is a pub. Now, this one is a pub. I'll tell you that. Where he encounters one of my favorite characters of all time, Jock Crawford, the town's larger-than-life police officer. When you first meet this officer, you very much think like, oh, he's going to be like a villain of the film, right?
Yes.
But he's not at all. He just wants to get fucked up with you. Like he's just your mate.
Murder John. I was like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Summon of these people all the time at pubs. It's just like that one dude that's like, he's not really there with anyone. He's just like, that guy, he looks like good fun. You want a drink, mate?
It's a very much it's like that's kind of like part of Australian culture is mateship.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, like 100%. So like the whole point of whenever he's just like, I don't have any money. He's like, I didn't ask for you to buy a beer. I said, do you want a beer? That's a huge point in Australian culture. Like
Yeah.
it's very like I went out for beers last night before Terminator 2, and it's very much like all right, I'll go first. And immediately, like you don't ask like what they want. You're like, he'll have a beer, and you just come back with like 6 beers, and it's like without no one's prompted by anything, but everyone like one by one buys around.
You can signify what you want with just hand gestures.
It's just a nod.
You
It's
just be like
really.
this.
It's like that's it.
Yeah, not that. No.
Yeah. How is America's drinking culture? Like, because I've been to America, Ash, and you guys love a light beer. You love a light beer. That's very, very crazy.
Honestly, I don't really know. This place it's different everywhere you go. That's the thing is this is not like a country where
Yeah.
like collectively people feel this sense of like, yeah, camaraderie and like it's always like a us versus some there's always people against each other. And so there's not that sense of like mateship or
Right.
camaraderie amongst the whole country. It's like state by state. Like you go to Texas and go out to a country bar, it's a totally different vibe than going to like downtown in the city of, in California and you go out clubbing, it's a totally different vibe. So it just depends what you're doing.
I like that
But
comparison.
Yeah, that's
Texas. Yeah, Texas is America's fucking Australia. Just
100%.
yeah, like that, there's just only like so many places you can go and actually like kind of get wild and have fun and trust the people that the South is one place where you can usually trust people to like actually want to be kind to strangers.
Yeah.
Whereas like I live in California, like nobody does anything for anybody else. Everything is all about yourself.
Yeah.
So I went to America in 2016. I don't want to lose any American listeners here. I went to Texas, lovely people. Salt of the earth, loved them. Exactly what you're saying. It very much felt like home. I went to Salt Lake City, great. But they're very, very welcoming. I went to Vegas. I didn't really talk to anyone, except for the car dealers. Went to LA, tough. And San Fran was tough as well. Like, yeah, so I very much see that. I very much see what you're talking about, for sure.
But here's the thing about Texans, Harry. They can have some questionable beliefs, okay? They might be
Oh,
hospitable.
yeah.
So it's not perfect, but my family's all from Texas, so I'm used to that welcoming nature. But I've always lived in California, so I don't know any different. But people, they won't really smile at you when you walk by. You're not going to get a stranger asking to buy you a drink unless there's something in it for them.
Unless it's Steve Austin,
Yes,
who's from Texas.
that's true.
He's,
And Matthew McConaughey as well from
Yeah,
Texas.
yeah, there's another one.
Take a note from Australia and New Zealand. That's what I've learned.
Have you ever been to New Zealand, Harry? I can't.
No, I'm coming next week. Next year.
Next week.
Yeah, I'll be over there on Monday. Yeah.
You gotta say it. If you ever went for like a walk in the morning, you walk past everybody, they'll be like, "Good morning."
Yeah.
We're voted as like the most friendly country. I don't get it. I don't. But we're like always number one, like friendliest country. I was just like, I mean, yeah, but nah, we're always number one. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Byron's like, we're voted the number one friendliest country. Not me though, but everyone else.
Nah, I don't know. I don't get it. I had to believe we're number one.
No, I'm coming next year for a couple friends are getting married there.
Yeah, okay.
That'll be good.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had been there previously.
Yeah. Wow.
Should be. It's a great place.
Anyway,
there's a lot more green.
Yeah. I'm keen. It looks beautiful over there. Anyway, Jock is an imposing figure, exuding a mixture of authority and gentleness, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, he's super big, he's like confronting, but at the same time, you kind of at the same time feel a bit safe with him, at least at this point. He introduces himself with a hearty handshake and insists on buying John several rounds of beer. The interaction sets the tone of the town's culture of mandatory hospitality, where refusal is not an option. That is very true in Australia. So Jock's forceful friendliness is a trap itself, making John feel obligated to drink and socialise despite his reservations. The pub is crowded with locals, all who seem to know each other. Jock seem to know each other. Sorry. John, an outsider, is quickly absorbed into their drinking rituals. The scene captures the town's camaraderie, but also hints at a darker side of peer pressure and conforming to everything. As the night progresses, John becomes incredibly intoxicated, legend, losing his initial apprehensions and becoming more integrated with local culture. And by the end of the film, we very much see him as one with the culture, which I love. So, fun fact here: the sudden eerie silence and dimming lights in the bar portrays a ritual that still occurs in most evenings in return and service league clubs, which is RSLs. So RSL clubs in Australia are very much towards like our veterans, and so across Australia. So each evening, the lights dim and the patrons stand and they do a quiet minute of remembrance for fallen soldiers. So across Australia, we have that day that I was talking to you about, Ash, a couple of months ago, Anzac Day. Where we do 2-Up, which is the game that we watch here of the coins. That's literally the game that, when I was watching this, like, Ash is gonna know what this is. But the entire country does the Day of Remembrance for Anzac Day. So usually the ceremony would concede through an ode to remembrance, but they shall not grow old as we shall Jesus, sorry, I've written this so poorly. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. That's right. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn them. At the going down of the sun in the morning, we will remember them. That's what we always say. Yeah. So Jock takes John to a gambling den, specifically a 2-Up gambling den. So this game in Australia, a little history lesson for you guys. This game's super simple. It's just a coin flip game. It's actually illegal in Australia, except for Anzac Day. So Anzac Day becomes not illegal and everyone can play it. So you go Anzac Day, the way that my Anzac Day happens, it's in April every single year, is that I get up at dawn. I go to a dawn service because I've got my granddad was in the war, so it's like that. I always just do it for him. Straight to the pub. After that, straight to the pub. You start day drinking, and everyone is in on these 2-Up games. Like, I'll send you some photos. Like, I'll bring a photo up when one of you guys are talking, just to show you the crowds at these 2-Up games. Like, they're huge. It's like 10,000 people in a pub surrounding a guy flipping coins. It's awesome.
I think I've seen some photos here and there about it. It was just like, but countries like Australia and New Zealand will create days just to drink. We have a crate day as a holiday in New Zealand where you just buy a crate of beer and drink it. You start at 12 in midday and you have to finish it by midnight. And crate bottles are just fucking huge. A random holiday just to drink.
The national sport in Australia is AFL, Aussie Rules, which is what I watch. And in Victoria, they got a national holiday the day before the grand final, just so that everyone can start. It's awesome. What a good country we live in. So Jock takes John to a 2-Up gambling den, a legal yet tolerated establishment hidden from plain sight. The atmosphere inside is electric, with a mixture of excitement and desperation. The game itself is simple. A coin is tossed, bets are placed on whether it lands on both heads or both tails. That's it. The scene is chaotic, with money changing hands rapidly and participants shouting in excitement or despair. So John, initially hesitant, gets caught up in the frenzy and decides to try his luck. At first, he wins a significant amount of money, and the thrill of victory is exhilarating. However, greed and overconfidence soon take over, and John begins to take larger bets. Quote, $1,000, just one more spin, and you're out of it. You're out of teaching. You're out of Tabunda. His initial success turns into a devastating loss. The rapid shift of triumph is halted towards disaster in a pivotal moment. highlighting John's susceptibility, Jesus can't talk this morning, to the town's vices. The scene ends with John, now penniless, staring in disbelief at the realization of his foolishness. So fun fact here, according to the DVD commentary, the artificial banknotes printed for shooting this two-up gambling sequence looked so realistic that two of the extras were later arrested for trying to pass them as genuine currency. Idiots. Like, this is loser. Classic. So having lost all of his money, John's situation becomes dire. He has no means to continue his journey to Sydney and is now stranded in the Yabba. The scene depicts John wandering the streets, distorted and disorientated, and the once friendly town people become indifferent and even hostile at points. So he finds a man named Tim Haynes. So Tim goes, "You new to the Yabba? New to the Yabba. You like the old place? No, I think it's bloody awful. You don't like the Yabba? No." I love that. The shift in perception underscores the town's unforgiving nature. So John's desperation grows as he realizes the extent of his predicament. He returns to his hotel room, which now feels even more oppressive. The claustrophobic atmosphere of the room mirrors his mental state. As he lies on the bed, staring at the ceiling fan, the full weight of his situation hits him. The scene is critical in portraying John's growing sense of hopelessness and isolation. So anything to add here, guys, before we go to Tim's house? Anything at all?
Yeah. The scene where you see them doing the gambling is definitely like, I don't know if I ever want to see a scene with that many like sweaty men
There's a
exchanging
lot. You just
money.
know that sorry to cut you off. You just know that room smells.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I could smell. I could just like I could see how bad it smelled, and just like the money must stink, and just it was so sweaty in there. Also, are all these men single, or what are they doing? This is Christmas Eve and they're just
Probably.
gambling their money away. Like,
Probably.
I can't. But yeah, no, I like watching the mental, like, kind of spiral, but like transition. I don't really know the right word, but of John going through like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna watch, to like getting so deep in it to where he asks to cash a check so that he can make one last bet, which is such a bad idea. Yeah, you can just tell that like as much as he's getting caught up in, I think, the pressure of like the town and the people, I think this guy is an addict just in general. And so I think he has a hard time, not like, because he's so depressed, in Tabunda and probably kind of hating his life. I think it's really easy for someone in that kind of sensitive spot in their brain and their life currently to get caught up in all this. So I love watching. I mean, I don't love watching it. It's sad, but it's interesting to watch his kind of demise and fall into this this gambling and drinking like crazy and making bad decisions clearly. And it's like he wakes up butt naked. Why are all these people so tan? Why do they have these massive tan lines? Is everyone in Australia this tan?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, in rural Australia, absolutely. It's
Oh my
super
God, I was
super sunny,
like-
and they don't use any sunscreen.
But yeah, most people will have like they'll have a one big one here as well.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
That's a 2-up game.
That looks like
It looks like a boxing ring.
I was gonna say, it looks like if a boxing ring had no like ringside, it was just the ring and then people.
So that's like a courtyard of a big pub that they've just cleared out, and yeah. That's awesome.
No, my last thing I'll add is I do really like that no matter how hard he's trying to leave, he's gonna keep meeting, and you can kind of start to tell by the time he meets, is it Tim?
Yep.
By the time he meets Tim, I was like, it was clicking for me. I was like, oh, that's how this movie's gonna go. He's gonna keep trying to get out of here, and he's gonna keep getting stuck with somebody who's not gonna let him leave. And that's sort of where the transition for me took place, was when we had that scene, and he was like, well, you don't like the Yabba? And he was so offended. That was when the movie kind of like picked up for me, and I was like, okay, that's the kind of movie this is gonna be, and I'm just gonna kind of sink back and enjoy the ride.
You don't like the Yabba?
Amen. Yeah, the downward spiral of drinking and gambling. Rookie, am I right? No, yeah, I mean, it's stupid. If you're up that much, why do you? There's no point of keeping going. I remember winning. I remember I won close to $1,000. I think it was like 942 or something. And then I was gonna leave. I cashed out, and then then the person behind me in the line was just like, "Oh, you gotta put some more back in." I was just like, "Fuck no!" So you see how far I'm up? And I left.
Good man.
I left. Yeah, because I know what I'm doing.
Good man.
Don't gamble.
Unless you know you're gonna win.
Is this just like a place where, like, do alcoholics actually exist, or do you all just support the lifestyle of drinking that much? Like,
alcoholics exist for sure.
What does an alcoholic look like if this is just normal people?
They're like 6 months from death. Yeah, like you can smell it off them.
Yeah, on the verge of either going to jail or death.
Like a normal is like I wouldn't say normal, but like I would think that I'm a competent Australian. I drink quite a bit, but I could easily be like, I'm not drinking for the next 2 months, easily. Like that's like kind of the difference, where it's like we do it socially. Like it's just for a social aspect. When like if you're going home every night and sinking a 5-liter cask of Di Botelli wine, that's a problem. That's a problem. Like, so like we have high consumption, but there is a limit for sure.
The reason you're drinking too is different. Like you said, it's camaraderie. It's like it's a mateship. It's not so much a escape, I guess.
Like
mentally.
I personally, there's nothing against if you don't do what I do. I personally never drink alone. Like it's not like I make a point about it. It's just like I've just never gone. If I'm home like alone and I'm just like I want something to drink, I would probably drink like a Diet Coke or water max. I would never drink a beer.
You can consume at home alone to enjoy your night that are more relaxing.
Yes. Oh, I get fucked up that way. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Because that you wake up the next day and you feel fine.
Right.
Fine. Like I'm doing a whole podcast after last night.
I wouldn't heavily drink alone, but I'll have like a few. And when I say a few, I mean like maybe half a box. Like
how much?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, a few is literally 3.
My few is about 6. But like yeah. Again here, I can start really easily, but I can also end really easily. I can just be like, don't want anymore. I'm done.
I can bet. I don't want to turn this into a competition. I can bet every cent that I've ever earned that I can outdrink you.
This is a good chance.
Fair play,
Harry. We will see one day.
We will. We'll go 1-1. Absolutely.
One day.
Absolutely. Nice. So we get to Tim Haynes' house. I'm going to give you. This is like a really pivotal moment of the entire film. I feel like this is like the moment where he turns. So I've written a bunch of notes here, so I'm just going to power through them. All right. All about going to Tim Haynes' house. So the setup here. Oop, I've scrolled past it. My bad. The setup is after a series of grueling and disorientating events in the Yabba, John Grant is taken to Tim Haynes' house by Doc Tyden. The scene marks a significant step in John's descent into the town's darker social dynamics. The house is a modern, typical outback house, further illustrating the simplicity and roughness of life in this remote town. Tim Haynes, I think I said Haynes, my bad, Haynes. Haynes is a hard-drinking local who lives with his daughter, Jeanette. We're talking about alcoholics. Tim Haynes, alcoholic. Doc, by the way, massive alcoholic. If you're waking up in the morning and saying, let's have a beer, alcoholic, 100%. So the arrival and introduction. So John arrives at the house in a state of physical and emotional exhaustion. The house's interior is cluttered, reflecting the chaotic and unrefined lifestyle of its inhabitants. Tim Haynes, a burly and gracious man, immediately offers John a drink, reinforcing the town's culture of hospitality steeped in alcohol. The social dynamics in the house are quickly established. John's a complete jester and is tinged with an undertone of coercion, and Jeanette's presence adds a layer of tension and complexity. So as the evening progresses, the men drink heavily and the atmosphere grows intensely raucous. So Tim, Doc, and the other men now have all arrived, including another local man named Joe, and they engage in a brawly conversation and boisterous behavior. So John initially is a reluctant participant in everything. So he's drawn into a heavy drinking and unable to resist the peer pressure. The camaraderie is aggressive and invasive, highlighting the toxic masculinity persuasive in this town specifically. So Jeanette, Tim's daughter, is a significant figure in this scene. Her interactions with John are charged with unspoken tension and complexity. She's both a victim of the town's oppressive oppressive environment and a symbol of its rough resilience. Her demeanor fluctuates between flirtation and hostility, reflecting her own entrapment and frustration. At one point, she and John share a moment of awkward intimacy, which quickly turns uncomfortable. So Jeanette's aggressive advances and John's confused responses create a sort of scene of raw and unsettling sexuality. As the drinking continues, the atmosphere becomes more volatile. So Doc, ever the starter of everything, stirs the pot and with cynical remarks and philosophical musings. Which only serve to heighten the tension. So Tim becomes belligerent, and as the evening takes a much more sinister edge. So the scene captures the breakdown of social norms under the influence of alcohol and the latent aggression. That surfaces. Sorry. So the analysis of this whole scene is the scene at the Tim Hines house is a pivotal moment in this film, as it encapsulates the main themes of the entire film: the destructiveness of toxic masculinity, the persuasive influence of alcohol, and the entrapment in a harsh, unforgiving environment. It serves as a microism of John's overall descent, showing how peer pressure, social expectations, and internal demons can lead to one's unraveling. The interactions are raw, unfiltered, capturing the film's relentless examination of human nature at its most primal. Whew, not bad. So you guys, anything to add towards this scene? I know it's only a short scene, but I do feel like it's a very important sort of scene in terms of the catalyst of the entire film. It's the scene that tips him over the edge.
Yeah, the big spiral. This is where it's like hasn't quite hit like rock bottom, but it's there. It's right there. I think that part, just that spiral as a whole until this moment. This is probably I don't want to say favorite part because it's pretty fucked up, but the way it was executed was really well done. And I like unique movies with unique concepts that actually pull it off really, really well. Not too long, a couple of days ago, I literally watched a movie that I said, on paper, one of the best concepts like ever, but like the execution was just not very good. That would be The Purge. This one actually capitalizes on its concept, which again I think Ted did really, really well with it. But yeah, not too many thoughts, but the execution is magnificent here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that you said everything so beautifully. I don't have too much to add, but I will say I think Jeanette, what's her name again?
Jeanette.
Sorry,
you're correct.
Jeanette.
Yeah.
She's such an interesting addition to the movie because she's basically the only female character outside of his flashbacks or memories with his girlfriend or fiance or whoever she is. She's really the only female character in the entire movie, and she doesn't really speak much. So I think it's interesting to see kind of like what this town has done to her, and also like later, obviously, when Doc's talking to him about like how the town sees her, because she's comfortable, with herself and her sexuality and all these things. It's obviously kind of told in like maybe a way that makes John uncomfortable, but it is interesting the way you were saying about like toxic masculinity mixing with the alcoholism, and sort of this environment that she's been kind of stuck in.
Absolutely.
And just seeing like the combination of her and John like walking together, and like you kind of think like maybe this is gonna be like a moment where they can have a nice conversation, but you're like, no, she's so broken too that she's just kind of like got these weird, like she's kind of hostile. She doesn't really say anything. You can't really ever tell what she's thinking. She's very unpredictable. But she's obviously probably so like I'm not sure the right word I'm looking for, but she's just so like
broken.
immune.
Yeah.
She's immune to this behavior of these men that she's around constantly, so it doesn't even faze her anymore. And she might even a little bit kind of have convinced herself that she likes this lifestyle because she doesn't know any different, So I find it's just an interesting character to throw into the mix. Like they very well could have just left her out, I feel like, if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think it adds a lot to the story, in my opinion, and especially for John specifically and his kind of transition, and also him also kind of being disappointed in himself that he did something when he's got someone at home. He's kind of watching himself like get further and further into this kind of questionable behavior. So I think that's important as well for the storyline. So Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I would add. But this scene with them all together, yeah, I would not want to be in that room for not even a second. I can't stand when people act like that.
Amen.
I have an update. I killed the spider.
I saw you slam into it. Appreciate you going on mute for it, but I saw it. Yeah, well done.
I had to use my sword.
Okay.
It's so high. I couldn't get it. I couldn't reach
Okay.
it.
Fair play.
A sentence you never think you're gonna hear.
But then
I
it-
had
but then
to
it-
use my sword to kill the
It,
spider.
it fell off, and then I had to. It was just on my desk, and I didn't want it to run anywhere. And I'm not gonna fucking kill it with my hand. I'm good. So yeah, I threw my wallet at it, and it opened like a bunch of tabs on my computer. So, but it's good. It's good. And this was my sword.
Nice. Well, let's move on. Doc invites John to stay at his house, a cluttered and chaotic space with books, empty bottles, and remnants of a more cultured life. Doc's house is a stark contrast to the town's crude environment, yet it's equally as decaying. The two men bond over drinks, and Don shares his cynical views on life and the yabba. The scene deepens John's immersion into the town's dark underbelly. Doc's articulate yet philosophical. Oh my god, his attitude towards life resonates with John's growing disillusion. The house with its decayed grandeur serves as a physical representation of Doc's and increasingly John's internal ruin. So everything that's surrounding them right now is just an absolute metaphor. So one of the film's most harrowing scenes involves a nighttime kangaroo hunt. So Doc and a group of the locals, including John, set into the outback heavily armed and drunk as hell. The hunt starts with a sense of adventure but quickly dissolves into a brutal and senseless slaughter. The men's behavior becomes increasingly violent and sadistic, showcasing their latent savagery. John is caught up in the frenzy and participating in the kills. The graphic violence against the kangaroos is both shocking and revealing of the men's capacity for cruelty. The scene is pivotal in John's transformation, as it strips away from any remaining veneer of civility. The brutal and almost ritualistic nature of the hunt leaves John deeply disturbed, marking a significant descent into his primal instincts. The aftermath of the hunt, where the men passed out in a drunken stupor amid the carnage, is a haunting image of disbandment. So, producer's note, I think this is also the end of the film. The photography of the hunting scenes in the film take place during an actual kangaroo hunt, which is conducted by licensed professional hunters. No kangaroos were expressively killed for the motion picture itself, because the survival of Australian kangaroos is seriously threatened. These scenes were included with approval of leading animal welfare organisations in Australia and the United Kingdom. So following the hunt, John's psychological state deteriorates even more rapidly. He engages in increasingly self-destructive behaviour, drinking heavily and acting recklessly. The scenes in Doc's house become more chaotic, with philosophical debates turning into drunken rants. So John's sense of self and moral compass is completely eroded by this point. He becomes more like Doc, a man who once had potential but is now consumed by the town's complete societal views. This segment of the film portrays John's inner conflict as he grapples with his loss of identity and purpose. The claustrophobic and chaotic setting of Doc's house enhances the sense of entrapment and decay. So John's interactions with other locals, including a disturbing encounter with a prostitute, further highlight his moral disintegration. Each scene in this segment intensifies his sense of hopelessness and annihilation. So anything to add here, guys, before we move on to our last part, specifically about the kangaroo hunt? Because I think this is the most disturbing scene of the entire film. It's the one that's fucked
definitely.
up.
Yeah, disturbing is definitely the word for it. I mean, this is Australia's national animal. It's like me going and slaughtering a bunch of kiwis. Like it's just something you don't do. It's fucked up.
So kiwis actually is a bird, Ash, but it's also how it's...
yeah, sorry, yeah, a kiwi, a kiwi,
So
not a kiwi fruit. So here, like, so everywhere else, the fruit is you'd call a kiwi. You're talking about the fruit.
I'd also call you a kiwi.
When I say it, I'm talking either about people, as in me,
yeah,
or the bird. you never say kiwi as the fruit. You say kiwi fruit if you're talking about the fucking fruit. But yeah, so these things I just don't even like. I don't even comprehend. But yeah, so yeah, it's definitely the most disturbing part of this movie. And this, I don't want to say payoff, but the conclusion of his spiral. This is where it hits rock bottom, because he's fucked. It's the best way I can.
Yeah.
It's the best way I can say it. He's fucked. So yeah. This is again. I think this is where the bulk of Gary, what's his last name? Bond. How do you forget the last
Bond,
name?
yeah.
Bond. Yeah, Gary Bond's. This is where I think his acting is the best in this movie. But yeah, just really a really disturbing and fucked up scene. But
Hell yeah.
it was done really, really well.
Nice. Ash?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I messaged you whenever this was happening because I was like, what the fuck did you get me involved with watching? I really struggle with movies that are like kind of being like grossly harmful to animals just in general, whether I know anything about the animal or not. It could be literally anything. It's just really hard for me to watch, especially when it's like in a hunting type way like that. Like you'll never catch me hunting. I'll never go hunting for any animal. I eat meat, but I'm not gonna do the hunting. Okay. So yeah, it was rough to watch, but I agree with Byron when he said like not the payoff, but for the storyline, the spiral that he goes through, the him having to go through, slaughtering the kangaroo himself, that whole moment, the acting he portrays there, I think is really good, really authentic. And one thing you mentioned earlier, Harry, I really like the way you described it, but there's like a certain unfiltering that happens with this movie where it's not overly trying to be like Hollywood type movie, right? Like some of these topics we're talking about, like alcoholism and like the isolation and loneliness and depression, they just kind of, it's just done like in a really like kind of grungy way. You don't feel like it's over like spoon fed to you. You don't feel like they're trying to glamorize it. They're just making it like very authentic and very unfiltered, which I appreciate. So yeah, I mean, outside of this moment, it was really hard to watch. I did not like watching it. I think that's kind of the point. I don't think you're supposed to enjoy
If
watching
you
it.
enjoyed watching this, Ash, I'd have some questions
Well,
for you.
obviously, but like I struggle with
I know what you mean.
psychological thrillers sometimes because I'm like I balance between like this is a really like interesting concept like as a movie lover, but also like I fucking hate this and I'm not having a good time right now. So it is tough sometimes with these kind of movies. But yeah, I think it's a really great demise for his character. It's kind of one scene that stands out to me, and I believe it happens during this is you see him go from having a flashback to just his like woman earlier in the movie when he kind of like sees a light. It kind of like makes him think of her. In this part of the movie, he sees something similar, but he starts to connect her intertwined with all the bad stuff that's happened to him since he's been in the Yaba. And I think that's like a full circle moment of like, he's now completely fallen apart and his life from before is now completely intertwined with this experience. And it's like, he doesn't even know who he is anymore. And I think the way that they portray that scene on like from the director's perspective, I guess, the way they shot that was really cool to kind of see where his mind has gone by the end of the movie.
Yeah, hell yeah. A question, Ash. Do you watch these movies with Adam?
Yeah, usually.
Can we from now on get like a even if it's 2-sentence review from
Adam?
From Adam? Because I like you're so articulated, like perfect review. I just love to see if Adam has the exact same thoughts.
Sometimes he's more articulate than I am. But also his favorite movie is like Austin Powers.
Hell yeah, it is. I like Adam. Adam's a good dude. Shout out Adam. We love you over here. Yeah, you should keep him around. Let's get into it, guys. This is the last part, and then we can finish it all off. So, John's mental health, get this, guys, it's broken down. It's gone.
No way.
Yeah. So, John's mental breakdown accumulates in a series of hallucinations that goes on for many sequences. The film employs disorientating cinematography and editing techniques to depict John's descent into absolute madness. Flashbacks and visions is exactly what you were kind of alluding to, Ash, and vision blur, they all blur the line between reality and disillusion, reflecting his fractured mental state. So John's actions become increasingly erratic, accumulating in an act of violence against himself. This climatic scene is intense and chaotic, capturing the complete disintegration of his identity. The sequence is a visual and emotional assault, mirroring John's internal chaos. His aimless wandering through the town, punctuated by moments of stark clarity and profound despair, highlights his utter loss of direction and purpose. This scene is a powerful depiction of accumulation, Jesus Christ, Harry, accumulation of his psychological unraveling. I'm almost there. I'm almost at the
rubbing off on you, man.
I'm almost at a psychological unraveling as well right now. It's crazy. In a moment of utter despair, John attempts to take his life but fails. This near-death experience serves as a dark epiphany, forcing him to confront the depths of his degradation and the futility of his previous ambitions. Rescued and hospitalized, John is given a chance to reflect on his experiences. The stark, sterile environment of the hospital contrasts sharply with the chaotic and oppressive setting that is beyond those walls which he's been in, symbolizing a form of cleansing. The scene makes a turning point as John begins to see a glimmer of hope and possibility of redemption. The hospital serves as a place of reflection and a potential rebirth, offering John a moment of clarity. His interactions with the hospital staff, though brief, are more human, more compassionate, more direct, providing a stark contrast with the brutal experience that he's had in the Yabba. The film concludes with John's return to Tabunda. The cyclical nature of the ending suggests a sense of entrapment, but also a possible reconciliation with his fate. John's character is unarguably changed by his experiences. The final scenes depict him resuming his teaching position, but with a profound understanding and acceptance of his situation. The oppressive landscape of Tabunda now seems less daunting compared to the horrors that he faced in the Yabba. John's interactions with his students and the town's residents show a subtle shift in his demeanor. He is more subdued and reflective, indicating a deeper and more profound change. The final shot, mirroring the opening, shows the vast, empty outback, but this time a sense of resentment. That is Wake In Fright. Guys, what do you think of Wake In Fright? Give me your final review. Anything else to add in that last scene and your final score? Ash.
Real quick, I have Adam's review of this movie.
Go ahead, yeah. Hell yeah. Nice.
That was quick.
He said, you can check out anytime you'd like, but you can never leave.
You can check. Oh, Eagles,
Dude,
Hotel
he
California.
Does the Harry review. He does the Harry Star review.
Oh, yeah, he's a one-liner kind of guy.
I love that. Hotel California. That's mad.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry, I might have zoned out a little bit while I was asking him for that while you were talking.
It was worth it.
But the scene with the gun is brutal. And it's like when you realize that he's waking up in the hospital, it's just like, this guy literally can't escape anything about this place. Like, it's just so mad. Like, the whole underlying tone of the movie, like, it gets so dark so quick in that last chunk. And just pure madness in his mind. And it's really sad because you can kind of like, you really want to empathize with him, but obviously he's made a lot of these bad decisions himself. But it's brutal. And then I love how when he's leaving the hospital, like I don't know if we know exactly how much time has passed, but clearly it's enough for his holiday to be over, obviously. But he's just like walking out in his like bright suit, like nothing happened, just saying bye to Doc and going back to normal. It's kind of speaks a little bit to like how hard you can fall, but then you kind of almost just like go right back to normal, like nothing just happened, which is kind of terrifying.
Why do we fall, Master Bruce? So we can pick ourselves back up.
It's rough, but yeah, the last chunk of the movie is real good. It was a wild ride for sure. I would definitely recommend it to people who like these types of movies. Definitely Lost Highway vibes, Wild and Hard. Definitely Lynch vibes for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I think if I watched it again, I might pick up a bit more on some of like those things you were talking about, like more of the meaning. But for the first watch, I was kind of just vibing with it. But I still really enjoyed it.
You can tell that I studied this in school, can't you? Well, like how much I decided. Yeah. Byron, nice. Byron.
Yeah, the gun scene. I had to. While I was watching it, I had to check. I just moved my mouse because I thought that was the ending. It
That'd have
just,
been a brutal
I
ending.
thought it ended with that gunshot. I was just like, no,
That would have
fucking
been
way.
bold.
I just had to move my mouse. I was just like, okay, no, there's still a little bit here. I was just like, gee, but I mean, this kind of movie, if that's how it ended, like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But it did a little bit because obviously I had to check. But no. I'll just read the last little bit of my review.
Go ahead.
I said it's a bold and stark, character-driven film that contains stunning visuals and landscapes, led by talented direction and a great performance. And now my phone's lagging, so there goes that. It hit my sword. But yeah, it's a good movie, but unfortunately, again, like I said, there's just something about it didn't hit with me. Again, maybe I was too tired. I really just don't know. I was between a 3 and a 3.5. I gave it a 3.5 because there's no, me not just connecting with it isn't a big enough reason to give it a 3 or less. If you know, like most of my thoughts on this movie are positive. So I don't know, a 3.5 it fits for me. I really like it. I might rewatch it one day. It's not a movie that I'm particularly looking forward to rewatching. If I want to watch a psychological thriller, I mean, I'll probably just turn on Joker. But yeah, I thought it was really good. And if I were to rank the month of Sweat movies, I would go Holes 3-star, Wake in Fright at 3.5. What were the other ones?
Dude, yeah, this
What were
line
the
up.
other ones?
Wait, I got you. Do the right thing.
Yeah, what was the other one?
Jaws.
Was it 4? I thought there was 5. Okay. Yeah, then it's Do the Right Thing at 4.5, and then Jaws at 5 out of 5. But yeah, 3.5 for me. Good movie.
Hell yeah, nice. I love this movie. Yeah, I'm giving it 4 as well. But I think this movie is super important, especially to Australian culture. And it's also, if you don't like the look of this film, don't come to Australia. Well, see you later. Like, don't you dare step foot. You know, don't you dare.
Come to New Zealand.
No. But
not the opposite.
But no, I think this movie is just really well made with the minimal budget that it has. I just think it's really goddamn well done. Everything about this movie I love. I just love when Australian films use the landscape as a character, and uses like kind of like a plot progression, and they do it just really well here. So I totally understand like not wanting to watch this for a long time, but I do see myself rewatching this in years' time, not anytime soon. But I think this movie's fucking awesome.
It's not something you'll watch next week.
No, definitely not. So that's 4 out of 5. So that is Wake in Fright. So next month, before we go into our quick game of the show, next month we're starting up our new month, new genre, which we're doing, and going back to genres, we're doing coming of age. So we're doing, I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming of age films. Nice. So we're starting up with Juno, then we're going to Boyhood, then The Way Way Back, then Kiki's Delivery Service, and then Moonlight. So I'll make a Instagram post to put it up on Instagram to kind of dictate that, so it's not really a surprise. But yeah, so next week, watch Juno. I can't wait to rewatch Juno.
I just watched it. It's so good. It's so unique. I love it.
I love Juno. So I'm really looking forward to rewatching Juno. So rewatch that or watch it for the first time, whatever you like to do, for the next week's episode. So yeah, so we're going into our game of the show. We're doing a little movie draft, of course. So I love the name Wake in Fright. I think the name's fucking sick. So we're just drafting best movie names. One little catalyst, which I'm sure like it makes sense, is if you draft a name out of a franchise, that franchise is done. So yeah. So if we do like, not saying one, like Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, no more Lord of the Rings movies after that. So I did the random wheel generator. Ash is first, then me, and then Byron.
Ash, what position do you like to be in?
I like being last, so I can have back to back.
I was about to say, I don't think Ash is ever happy with
No, I'm just
her order. So I'm like, does she actually like any of them?
I hate them all.
I just don't like. I like all of them, honestly.
So you can go as weird as you want with this. It's very much just like what you think is the best movie title, which there is so many to pick from.
Yeah.
So
is it coolest or best?
Whichever you like.
Okay.
What did you ask?
Coolest or best?
coolest or best, because when we did the character draft, I think that was more of coolest names, not best names, but they kind of like integrate into each
Yeah.
other. But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
best is so hard to define. It's like best
Yeah.
according to who? To
Yeah,
us.
it's like
Yeah, 'cause-
whatever you believe is correct. Yeah.
I'll be honest, you make me kind of nervous because I don't have a single franchise on my short
That's fine.
list. So
That's
you,
fine.
you don't.
nope. Nope.
I got a few.
So do I.
So for my first one, I'm gonna go with a title that I don't know. I think this is a perfect title, and I love this movie. So I'm gonna go with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, good pick.
Such a cool title.
Nice.
I didn't even have that. That's cool. It is a very good title.
I think I love that movie more than you guys do, but I just think the title is like, it's just perfect. Explains it perfectly.
Do I ruin Byron's day?
I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think I have like a clear pick.
Okay.
So
Well,
I don't.
my clear one for me, which I'm kind of surprised you didn't get, Ash. I think this title is fucking sick. Is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I was gonna take it, but I've taken it so many times before. I'm trying to make my drafts like
I respect that.
It's not.
mixed
That's
up.
not the movie you thought of me,
No,
right?
no.
Okay, I was about to say, well, I don't have any.
I had it on
like,
my list.
I don't have any deep connection to Pulp Fiction.
No, my number 2 is for yours, but number 1 I thought Ash was going to take. But, yeah.
Mine, there's a few, and a few of them might surprise you being number 1 picks. I don't think you'd doubt the pick itself.
Yeah.
One of my biggest positives on Wake In Fright is the fucking awesome poster. So I'm a sucker for bright orange. I'm going to go with another poster that's primarily orange. I will go with the greatest war film of all time, Apocalypse Now.
I love that.
I like that. I like it too. Here.
That was high on my list. Very high.
And then now the reason can I hold off on it?
You probably can.
I think I can too. If you're playing me, I'm going to be super fucking disappointed. I'm going to go with another classic. Maybe I would almost say the most, or at least one of the most beloved movies of all time. I will go with Back to the Future.
Yeah, fuck you.
Damn it.
Yeah, well done.
I do not take that movie too often, so
Right,
that's
well
why
done.
it caught my eye.
Well done, well done. It's such a good title.
It is.
Okay, well now we're in a bit of a spot of bother. I'm gonna leave that till third because I don't think Ash will take it, but Byron would. I'm gonna go with. Ash wouldn't take that, but I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna take The Empire Strikes Back.
Nice. Goodbye, Star Wars. What else would you even pick from Star Wars?
Revenge of the Sith, maybe? But Empire Strikes Back is so much cooler.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's tied in their franchise.
Actually, got two.
I'm so weird. I feel like for me, the franchise ones aren't really coming to mind because anytime you say something like Star Wars, blah, 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 or Lord of the, like, it kind of takes the title from being the coolest out of my mind. Like, I just want it to be something that's just like rolls off the tongue, you know?
No, for sure.
That's the vibe I'm going for. I have one example that's sort of like franchise-like, but I don't know if I'm going to take it. I have to have Tarantino on here because he's one of the best at naming
Already
movies.
writing it down.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good ones.
I mean, I obviously love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but that to me is not one of his like most inventive titles.
No,
Out of
I mean, there's
all.
heaps of movies that start with Once Upon a Time and then ... and whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in the West. Shout out that movie. That movie's fucking awesome.
And I want some variety on my list. So next I will take I've only seen this movie once, but I think it's a really cool title, and I'll take A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Nice. Byron, I apologize, but if you didn't take Back to the Future, I wouldn't be taking this. I'm taking Mad Max Fury Road.
Fuck yeah, that's the one. That was the one.
Yeah.
that was the first movie when I said coolest movie titles. That was 100% the one.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's unfortunate. I'll be honest. I just googled the coolest movie titles. I'm just going off that list.
Ah, you're good.
I'm gonna go with. I want to take my favorite movie, but I don't think it's like a movie that like it's not known for its title. It's a, you know.
Yeah.
I want some more like creative stuff. I'm going to go with one of my favorite. I don't even know the drama. I guess. One Flew with the Cuckoo's Nest.
Nice.
Knew you were gonna say that.
And then pick number 4.
It's tough.
It is. There's a lot, man. I'm going the very classic route.
Do it.
And 2 from the 70s and 1 from the 80s. Pick number 4. I am going to go. Honestly, why not? I'm going to go with one of Martin Scorsese's best, and I will go Raging Bull.
Love it.
I like
Nice.
that.
Nice one. I'm gonna go with There Will Be Blood.
Nice.
The Will Be Blood. Yeah, there's a.
Nice.
I should have got that pick in that draft.
Should have.
You vetoed it. What do you mean I should have?
Yeah. Well, Taxi Driver got vetoed.
I didn't veto it.
It still got vetoed. Ash, your final 2.
All right. I have to have a silly movie on here.
Just letting you know, Ash, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania still on the board.
Honestly, I just love this title and I love these characters. So it says a rogue pick, but I'm gonna take Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I love that title. That's a great pick.
Great title. And then for my last one, I'm gonna take The Wolf of Wall Street.
Nice work.
Ah, yeah, that was my first. Damn.
It's a great pick. Awesome. Well, I'm going to finish it off with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Nice. That was on my list as well.
Nice. Byron.
Last one, eh? Surprised no one picked Rebel Moon, whatever it's called.
It changed now. They got director's cut, so they changed the
I saw
titles.
that.
That's so stupid.
I actually can't remember the fucking title. The Child of Fire or something?
Something like that. I haven't seen
I
this
think
one.
it's the first one. I will go with. There's a lot of movies, man. It's just like the character's name or the monster's name.
So you want Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire?
Fucking hell, God no. I'm going to go with. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I do think Christopher Nolan comes up with some pretty cool titles. I'm gonna just go Inception.
Nice. Nice one.
Give me a sequel. God damn it.
No, never. Nice. So Ash had Everything Everywhere All at Once, Inglourious Bastards, A Clockwork Orange, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Me, myself, Harry, had Pulp Fiction, The Empire Strikes Back, Mad Max Fury Road, There Will Be Blood, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Byron had Apocalypse Now, Back to the Future, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Raging Bull, and Inception. Well done. Unreal, guys. Good work. There was still some huge ones on the board as well. I still had The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Kill Bill. I thought you might have been going towards Kill Bill, Ash, when you said Tarantino. Silence of the Lambs, Scarface, Blade Runner, Die Hard, Nightmare on Elm Street. That's really cool. It's a really cool.
Dazed and Confused, Sound of Metal.
Yeah, Sound of Metal.
Oh my god, I've completely ignored horror.
Hooker.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead.
Death Proof is another one of my favorite
It's
Tarantino.
The Evil Dead.
The Evil Dead's really cool. Yeah.
Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Do the Right
It's
Thing.
such a good movie.
It's so good. I might rewatch that this weekend. I'm going to watch Hitman.
Please add that for slashes.
Please watch Hitman so that
gonna
I
watch
can
it.
figure out
Yeah,
if
let's
I'm
do
I finally have a couple of hours at home tonight, so I'll be doing
not that
that.
I don't give. fuck what gives it.
Anyway, so that is our review of Wake and Fright. Please, again, next week, watch Juno to start up our month of coming-of-age films. But until then, I'm Harry, that's Ash, that's Byron. We're the Love, Death Movies podcast, and we'll see you at the movies.